Welcome back to the channel. I am Shelby, aka 88 Fox. Today we are going to start working on the 88 Fox. This car is a 1988 Ford Mustang that has a 2-valve 4.6 in it. Runs and drives. I got the belt off because I had to use a crank sensor for some testing on another car. But yeah, if I put that back on, put that crank sensor in, it would start right up. Turnkey, utilizing a Ron Francis wiring harness. So everything in here is all brand new custom wire. Well, I wouldn't say brand new now, it's been on there for a few years. But the car hasn't really done much in multiple years. As you can see, radiator's just like zip tied together. Yeah, so a little overview. Manual brakes, coilovers, UPR suspension. A lot of it's been done. It's got subframe connectors. I've got the full roll cage that needs to be welded in. In the back here you can see, well, maybe. It's got a MS3 Pro, again the Ron Francis wiring harness. I'm utilizing Spartan widebands. Up there you got another Ron Francis wiring kit, and that's for the body. So this is your engine management kind of standalone setup, and then there's all your body. That's what allows me to make it a turnkey car. Yeah, it's kind of a wiring mess. Utilizing a DDEFI dash, so uses that MS3 Pro and Tuner Studio, which I can actually access on the dash. Pretty cool. This is all going to get cleaned up a little bit better. The reason it is kind of, ugly the way it sits is I was just utilizing this motor as kind of a placeholder for this guy. So this is a 4.6 4-valve with Cobra heads, utilizing a Texid block, all built. It's all there. This is a very capable motor. We're going to be putting that backed with a triple disc McLeod, whatever you want to call it, and a Tremec T56 Magnum. It's going to be 6-speed, lots of fun. We got our drive shaft hanging out over here. Yeah, I know the whole place is a mess. Sue me, whatever. But yeah, all this is coming out. And then we are going to get started on doing a little bit of additional fabrication. So what I need to do is I need to clean up some of the welds on this front end, and then on the body itself, and then clean up some of these pinch welds as well. And then we should be able to start working on putting the motor in and getting it all wired up. A couple things that definitely have to happen first are the coil packs. They are different on the 4-valve, so we're gonna have to swap the pinning on those. I've got some FIC 1000s on their way, and those are going to have a different adapter because these are EV1 for the fuel injectors, and the new ones use US car or EV6 or whatever they're called. So gonna have to do some changes there, reroute some fuel lines, do some different stuff, but yeah, it'll be fun, so stay tuned. Alright, so getting started here, we're going to be pulling the motor again, as previously stated. So what we're going to do is drop this drive shaft This was a custom drive shaft built in Abilene, Texas. Drop that drive shaft, pull this exhaust. So we'll pop it off right here, undo the wideband right here, and then get that exhaust out of the way. Then we will remove the shifter from the transmission, the clutch cable, excuse me. And then we will drop the transmission bolts right here and right here, the transmission connector, cross member bolts right there. That'll let the motor hang. And then we need to take this bolt and this bolt out for your motor mounts, and then that should let the motor hang. And that'll be pretty much all we have to do on this bottom side. Once we get all this done on the bottom side, we're just going to go ahead and take this front clip off and then pull the radiator, and then we're actually going to pull the motor out, you know, straight out instead of like up, because you know, we can do that with this car. So yeah, that is what we shall do. Alright, so we should be ready to go to the top side now. One thing I didn't mention was getting the starter disconnected. Gonna have to clean up some of these, but I had to get the starter disconnected. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this little piece of the K or whatever, the H pipe out. So it's just gonna sit there. This was like a 3-piece system, so it's fine. The well, I gotta pop this out. There we go. Cool. I'm gonna let that drain, and then I will be putting it on the ground, and we'll be going topside. Everything else is disconnected. Motor mounts disconnected, etc. I don't think I have any extra cables up on the bottom side here. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. Cool. Alright, I got the car back on the ground. While I was waiting for the majority of the transmission fluid to come out, I went ahead and disconnected the radiator since I was up there and drained it. Got a little bit on the floor, but not too much. Also drained out the oil. I'm going to be giving this motor to a buddy. Looked good. Didn't have any, water in it or anything, so should be a halfway decent motor for his little project. But yeah, so now I'm going to tear the front end off, which isn't really on there very well. Getting the radiator out. I'm going to get this front piece off, and then we will go ahead and start taking all the wiring harness off so that we can pop this motor out of here. And then I've already got the shifter disconnected as well. I did that before I even got started. It's over here. So we should be able to pull this motor out pretty quickly, pretty easily. Cool. Alright, so we've got the wiring harness disconnected. Everything looks pretty good. I don't know exactly how I'm going to pull the motor. I might have to actually pull this intake, which wouldn't be too big of a problem. And then I usually use like this intake bolt and, well, I guess there's not an intake bolt back here. I guess maybe that intake bolt, this intake bolt's up here somewhere, and then we'll lift the motor out and then bring the whole assembly out. But yeah, she's ready to come out. I'm gonna have to go through this. I got a different fuel rail for my 4-valve, and then got some different, fuel injectors and so on, but kind of a cluster right here. It works, it comes out easy, as y'all saw. It didn't take me but 10 minutes to get the whole thing taken apart, but it just kind of bothers me, so I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with that whole setup before proceeding. But yeah, she's good to go. All right, so there's about 100 ways to skin a cat here. What I decided to do was take the intake off, which it took off as one unit, so I didn't even take the coil plugs or anything off first, just unbolted it, pulled it right out. And then I had to take this front bumper off, which is sitting right there as well. And then I got it loaded in here. Problem is I don't have one of those like tilts, so the motor is sitting just far back, because I have that I have the transmission cross member out, so it's actually touching this firewall back here. So I'm having to do some kind of engineering here. I've got my jack raising the tail shaft of the transmission up, and I've already got, I got my light here. I've already got this motor mount free. I just have to get this one free, which is almost there. Should be able to wiggle it out, and then once I get that freed, I'm going to try to push the car back just a little bit, and then I'm going to release the tension off of the jack that's holding the transmission up, tail shaft up. Some other things is it's super tight right here. So yeah, I'm just going to have to play with it a little bit, and we'll get there. So here I am thinking this was going to be easy. I guess I just underestimated, how much firewall clearance we really have here. Maybe that'll be addressed later on. But here's an old 2-valve that was in there. So 3650 transmission on it, I believe is what that's called. And yeah, so we're going to start. Well, first up, I'm going to clean up all this crap, and then I'll start taking apart the stuff that I need. So I need like the motor mounts, the transmission cross member, probably a few odds and ends. I don't know if I have all the front end accessories or not. And then we will start getting this guy ready to go. But first, we're going to get the Foxbody back in the air. I've got some things I need to weld up, some things I need to get cleaned up, and get it kind of situated, ready to go for that new motor and transmission and so on. But yeah, so we'll get this cleaned up and then we will see what's next. Alright, so here's the old motor. I went ahead and took off a couple things. Took off the motor mounts and the dipstick and the pulley for the water pump, as well as the bracket that holds on this AC delete. I'm not sure if I'm going to need it, but I got all that over here going on the new motor. We'll see what all I need and we'll pull it off. But oh yeah, I cleaned up a little bit because man, there was a lot of transmission fluid and water that came out that I didn't get. So I need this transmission cross member. This is a Stifler's transmission cross member, so definitely need that. But I'm gonna go ahead and pop the transmission off of here. I'm giving this motor to a buddy. It's a good motor overall, but I don't know if he even wants a transmission, but if he wants it, I'm going to give it to him. So he helped me do a bunch of welding on the subframe of this, so, and he did it for free, so that's the least I can do. Cool, so we'll go ahead and get that transmission off, and then we'll get it separated. I'll take my cross member out, and then we'll probably just stuff this motor with all of its little parts and pieces over there in that corner right there. Cool. Jeez. It was quite a pain in the butt, but we got it off. Cool. Transmission, clutch assembly, it's still good. I think. I don't remember. Maybe. It might be a good bell housing or a flywheel. I think that might be an aluminum one, but I don't know if it's all aluminum. That's obviously not. Might pop that clutch off. See if there's more things that I need. But yeah, there's the old 2-valve 4.6 out of a 2001 Mustang GT that was in my 88 Foxbody. Here's where we'll be replacing it, as well as the transmission. It's over there somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the motor disassembly. Now we'll go ahead and clean up a little bit more and get the car up on the rack to do some welding. I got quite a few places that need to be hit. I love that stance. It's just like old, man, I can't remember what you used to call it. They did it with the Bel Airs and stuff like that. That stance. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like a squatted stance. These motors are heavy, because this front end sat on the ground almost. I'm doing work.